This could be a bit close. Sound appeal for run out, and yes, Melissa Hackworth has been run out.
Real tough.
The ultimate, the most special.
Having 3 one-day internationals guaranteed every season was probably as much as we could expect, bearing in mind that back at those times it was New Zealand Women's Cricket Council, Australian Women's Cricket Council who were organising these matches. So I think we were incredibly fortunate to be able to look forward to those every year.
Well, we understood the magnitude of what that meant for the people who had procured that, and I'm talking about Mary Brito and Trish McKelvey, the people who had worked up to get that for us. Finally, it was like a stamp of approval that women's cricket was worth A, playing, B, watching, and that we would add to the game. They were seeing it at last too, all their work to get that to happen. It just was fantastic having it, it really was, and it really did give us a very big confidence boost to think that at last we might be going down the right road.
We train all year, we play a really short window of domestic cricket, all building up to playing potentially 3 50-over Rose Bowl games against Australia. So it was the pinnacle of our year, and there weren't as many ICC events, so it was a pretty significant, series in the calendar, and one we always really look forward to. Didn't have a lot of footage, we didn't have a lot of coverage of them, so we were often going into the unknown. We'd heard about these players, we'd read about these players, but then when you actually see them in the flesh and see how they play, it was like, yeah, okay, this is what we're here for.
The fact that we did get to play every year was amazing. You look back now and think, that's possibly an opportunity that's been missed. While we might not have won as many as we would have liked, the fact that we always had that as a carrot at the end of our provincial tournament, and then we had that ability to play them leading into eventually World Cups. It was like we'd reached the very top of what we could do, and I think that we were pretty naive, and it's easy to look back at the scores now and wish that they were different, given the scant resources that we had, but we were just so thrilled to be there and be part of it, and wearing the silver fern and wearing our New Zealand uniform and hoping that we were going to put on a really good performance and win. And just being with each other and being in a team scenario, it was fantastic. Just the best times.
When you've had a couple of series, when you've not won, of course you're always striving. And I think back in those times, probably selections might not have been as consistent, bearing in mind that for us, you might just be playing one lot of internationals per year. It's a long time between drinks. Most of the time we'd go to the eastern side of the country or to Adelaide, latterly. That series was obviously a complete thrill for me, captaining. To win those 2 games, such a thrill. And if I remember the first game, I think we won reasonably well, but the second game, what I distinctly remember about that, we were chasing in that game, and you have a piece of paper and you just tick off the runs that you're getting in 5s, and so that you're just really focused on watching but doing that as you're getting closer to the total all the time. And I think that Karen Gunn and Ingrid Jagersma might have been batting at the end of that match. One of them, I think, hit a 4 with not too many balls to go, and hey presto, that was our first ever Rose Bowl series win, and what a thrill. It's quite nerve-wracking, like when you're playing an international and you come down to sort of 1 ball to go, and I don't think that would be the only game that it came down to, within an over throughout, say, my career of playing Rose Bowl. So, but great thrill though.
when we won it in Perth on what we would have thought were fast, bouncy wickets. So for that word to filter back to New Zealand that we'd won the Rose Bowl was huge, and something that really spurred us on. There's always a huge amount of nerves playing Australia because you always, rightly or wrongly, think that they're better than you. Certainly back then they were a pretty serious side. So to be able to have a little bit of personal success and show that you can foot it was encouraging.
And is it a cotton bowl? Yes, it is, I think. Umpire looks across.
We put them on a pedestal a little bit. Then when we actually beat them, we thought, actually, why are we doing that? We can actually foot it here.
This could be a bit close. And appeal for round, and yes, Melissa.
Any time you beat Australia, you always feel like you've sort of grown a couple of feet anyway. So to do it in Perth, to win what we considered a really prestigious trophy, was pretty significant in our history.
The fact that we'd played Australia and had lost in '85 and we knew what we had to do, and then Debbie taking the reins and going over there, especially in the Australian conditions, it was truly remarkable. But you can see as a backdrop going from the 80s, having the World Cup in New Zealand, getting more playing opportunities, then having the Shell Rose Bowl as a regular component to your season, it was massive for the growth of the game, because then it enabled young people seeing it thinking, oh, we've definitely got a career path here. I remember the Shell General Manager, or he might even have been the CEO, Barry Dineen, bringing the trophy down and showing us the trophy. And Barry himself was a very, very good cricketer, first-class cricketer himself, very tall, handsome man. And here he was the Shell man, which, basically kept New Zealand cricket on the right side of the financial ledger. And here he was with us, learning about our game, watching us play the Australians. And that meant a lot as well, not only to have the Rose Bowl and that, I guess, financial reward with it, but also that people were seeing our game for the first time.
The next time we played them, I think that we might have lost 3-0. Captaining then, so that was, a disappointment to go from having won to the next time playing, which would be a year later, and getting a little bit of a thumping. So, I guess it's a bit of a fickle game sometimes. What I always think is you can never, ever, ever take away the result and the feeling that you have at that time. And I guess that's why we all kept playing for the time in our cricket career, because you want to replicate that feeling of success.